Welcome back to another episode of Packing Up and Piecing Out, the podcast where two American girls spill the tea on what it really takes to move abroad. I'm Taylor, an American in Prague, and this is
Lily, an American in London. And this week we're covering a topic quite timely, I would say, about is it time to leave the U.S.? I get asked this somewhat regularly, and it's definitely a lot of a discourse amongst I would say liberals in the U.S. And kind of has been since, Trump was elected the first time. But given recent events, it's just like getting more and more relevant. And obviously this podcast kind of is all about getting out of the U.S. or sort of. We're just sharing our perspectives on it. So yeah, today we're just going to be talking about like what it's really like to leave the U.S., if it's right for you, covering some of our opinions on the matter. And obviously this episode isn't intended to like shit on the U.S. because as we've discussed, we both love America. But there's a lot of big issues.
Some things about it. The people, well, some of the people, but like as far as the government and, not even just Trump and just with who is currently in office, but I think there's just, a lot of deep structural problems that lead to bigger problems in the country. So I feel like, yes, it is very timely because more and more people are asking this. But I think for, as long as America has existed, that there have been people who have left because they don't like the issues with the country as a whole. So yeah, I think it's so important to discuss because we have done it, and we obviously didn't just leave for political reasons. A lot of people who move abroad, don't just leave because they want to get out because of the current president or other things going on. But I think there's a lot of discussion online, a lot of people wanting to make decisions, and sometimes those decisions can seem a little rash or sudden, and people aren't fully thinking through what it actually means to leave your country behind. So yeah, I think this will be an interesting conversation and one that will continue to develop. But what have you been up to? I mean, we only saw each other like less than a week ago on here.
Definitely.
But I'm in Prague, back in Prague now. So I'm not in the Bahamas. I'm not in the US. I'm back in Prague now. My apartment is in a complete state, total mess because I had so much stuff that I brought back. So I need to clean that today.
Yeah, still in London. Not a ton has changed since I last saw you. I hosted my first ever craft event. I don't know if you saw, and so that was amazing, pulling it all together. Somehow I pulled it off in the end. Learned a lot about like these events. I don't know if you've been to any. I think you've been to some like craft events in Prague, but oh my God, so much like work goes into them behind the scenes that you just have like no idea. I mean, literally I was carrying a 50-pound suitcase like across London just to get the magazines there. I'm absolutely jacked now. And yeah, just planning more events for Londoners Against SAD. That's kind of like, I'm really trying to focus on that because obviously I'm still job hunting, and I'm trying to just like have that only be a part of my life and really focus on the more positive things. And I feel like my events is like one of the most positive elements of my life right now. But yeah, and you continue to grow it, and I know now you're doing them solo, like you're not hiring out another company, so like also some better margins. Like I can definitely see it just continuing to grow, so super exciting. But should we jump in then to the main topic and really talk about why we're here, if it's time to leave the USA, if it's time to leave America? Yeah, I mean, to state the obvious, this is just my opinion, but I do think that we have a dictator that's running the U.S., so I do think that it's time to leave the U.S. if you haven't already. But like I said in the intro, I don't think that the problems in the U.S. are just because of Trump. Of course, the U.S. has had problems long before Trump was president. That there's been a lot of deportations under Democratic presidents. There's been a lot of bad things that have happened under all administrations in the U.S. So I think it is top of people's minds because we're seeing the atrocities and horrible things that the administration is doing. But
I think that this question has existed for as long as the US has existed.
For sure. And I think there's kind of like two responses to what's going on in the US. My response, which maybe says something about my personality, is like, get the fuck out of there. But a lot of other people's responses, which is so admirable, and like maybe I should have taken that response, was to stay and fight. And I do think if everyone that's like smart and sensible leaves the country, wow, that would be really terrible for the country. So if your response is like, why are all these people leaving the US? Like, then all the good people are just going to leave. That's totally fair and also a good response. It's like the kind of conversation around having children right now. A lot of people,
yes,
like liberals, are like, why would I have kids and bring them into this terrible world? And, you know, terrible people will always have children and just like produce more people that maybe, I mean, not that they, you know, terrible people can't have great children, but, you know, if we stop having children, like if liberals and more sensible people stop having children, like imagine what would happen then.
You're so right. Like, I remember learning about the 4B movement in South Korea.
Yes. Wait, tell people what
more
this
and
is.
More, yeah, the 4B movement, the 4Bs are different Korean words. I don't know them, of course, off the top of my head, but it basically means that women should stop having sex with men, stop having children, and then there's two other points as well. But I was really interested in this, you know, feminist movement because it's really gaining steam there, and the birth rate is already
dropping,
you know, at a very low level there. And I was like, oh, you know, something like that in the US. But then I did see points of, well, if liberal people stop having children, then the conservatives are just going to completely take over the country. And it's so true that if more and more of us do leave, that it'll just be easier for them to get their agenda through. But I think that it's a balance because obviously a lot of marginalized people in America, people LGBT, people of certain races, ethnicities, women, like they feel genuinely scared in their day-to-day life, and like they feel like they need to leave to save themselves and protect themselves and their families. So it is this balance of like, do I leave to protect myself and my family, or do I stay and fight knowing what could happen? Like, even as a woman, just thinking, you know, if you're in half the states and you got an ectopic pregnancy, like, and things went wrong, you could possibly not get treatment that you need, and even be, in some states, you know, potentially criminally penalized. Like, it is scary to be a woman, or especially a woman of color. Just the problems increase for them tenfold, of course. And I totally understand the knee-jerk reaction of like, I need to get out of here for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say, as much as leaving the US has been something I'm really grateful for and has given me distance from the shit going down, I think there's a misconception that people think when you leave America, like, oh, done. Like, oh, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Like, oh, gone are all the problems of America. And that is half true in that, like, your day-to-day life is much less impacted by what's going on in America. So you're not having to worry about the rising healthcare costs and mass, you know, ICE raids and stuff like that happening to you. But unless you can somehow get every single person that you care about to move with you abroad, which obviously is completely impossible, like, you will still be attached to what's going on in the US. So I think people that want to leave the US only because of politics, like, that's very rare, because it really is impossible to escape also, US politics impact the entire world. Like, we are both seeing impacts of it in Europe. I mean, just for us with the US dollar, the fact that it has gone down has both, I'm sure we've both taken a pay cut. So like, at the very, you know, least kind of, I mean, it is a big impact on our life, but like, it's not, you know, impacting our safety or anything. Like, we're still impacted by US politics. So for that to be your only motivator to move abroad, like, I don't think you need to have a few, at least. I mean, I think you just need to have a few, because it's so hard to leave your country and move to a new country, get visas, make a new community. Like, you need way more motivators than just, I hate Donald Trump. Like, and
also just the privilege too. Yeah. Like, so many people, especially from like low income areas or people of color who, you know, they know that they face racism in the US, but then obviously as we've discussed, a lot of Europe is very racist. Places. So kind of deciding, like which is actually worse. Like I can't imagine sort of being in their shoes and needing to make that decision of genuinely like, where will I face more racism, like in the US or abroad? Like, because it does exist everywhere. But I also think, to your point of just because you leave, you don't stop caring. I mean, so many Czech people who follow me, when I was sharing stories about the murder of Renee Good by an ICE agent, a lot of Czech people were responding and, sharing about how horrified and upset they are. So I think it's also just when you're an empathetic person and you see atrocities happening in any country, like, you just are always going to feel connected to that when you see human rights violations going on. So, and like you said, the US impacts the entire world. So I think there's a fear when people see these things happening there that, okay, these things are going to start spreading more and more to Europe, because obviously a lot of European countries have a massive anti-immigration sentiment as well.
Like you can't escape
it's
the rise of fascism.
Yeah, you can't escape it. A lot of European countries are electing these really right-wing populist leaders. Like, yes, the US, I think it seems a lot more extreme now, but it doesn't mean that these things can't happen in Europe either. I mean, they have, obviously, like, with the Holocaust, and obviously these horrible things in history have happened in Europe. So it's like they could happen again, which
it's not just like,
it's just kind of scary. Like, just exactly. People think, oh, you go to Europe and now you have perfect healthcare, perfect everything. Right. Like, yes, there's a lot of things with everyday life that are genuinely better in Europe. And a part of the reason for that, too, is that these countries are so much smaller than the US. The entire population of the Czech Republic is like... Wait, now I'm blanking on it. Is it 11 million people, I think?
That sounds right.
Which is like... Let's see. I think it's like 11 million people. So it's a very small country. So obviously when it comes to social programs,
it's just so much.
Yeah, it's about 11 million. It's different. It's really different. I'm not trying to give the US credit for having such a messed up healthcare system, but it's like the issues are so different when you have such a massive country with 350 million people compared to 11 million people. And totally it's not a utopia, but I think people just feel so burnt out by going onto their phone every single day and waking up and seeing just atrocity after atrocity after atrocity, and just being like, how can we just live our normal day-to-day lives, just existing in this space where all these horrific things are happening and we feel totally powerless to do anything about it. But again, even though now I live in Europe and feel that level of protection because I'm not physically in the US, I still have those same feelings, total powerlessness, and feel very emotionally connected to it because all my friends and family are there, but also just because I'm a normal human being, and seeing people get killed is really upsetting to me, as it should be for anyone.
And I will say, like, I always, when I'm talking to my mom and stuff, she's definitely a bit of an addict when it comes to like doom scrolling in the news these days. And this is easy for me to say, obviously, because I don't live there. But I'm always like, why don't you like actually go out and start volunteering somewhere and doing something positive for your community? Not to say that's going to fix anything. Like, I don't think it's going to fix anything. But the fact that you can make a positive impact on just one person in need's life in your local community is so much. Like, when I see people just doing all of this, as we used to call it, like slacktivism. Sure, sharing stuff online, I'm not against it or anything, but like the constant consumption of it, I don't think is helpful for anyone. Like, you take just 1/4 of the time that you spend like worrying about US politics, dreading it, doom scrolling, all of that, and just like volunteer for 1 or 2 hours a week at a soup kitchen or with, whatever local organization that you're passionate about. Like, why don't I just think that's not discussed enough. I'm not saying that's going to fix anything in the US or anywhere. Like, even here, I really have been meaning to get into volunteering in London. I actually,
Me too.
Yeah, it's reminding myself. And I recently, like, the church that I hosted my event at does have like a twice monthly soup kitchen. So I want to volunteer there. But it's like, instead of spending all of this time feeling so bad about it, like, maybe just do a tiny something good, because it does always make you feel better. Because like, really, it's
putting your energy into something. Yeah, putting your energy into something positive. And yes, that's not going to solve these massive global issues. Like, it's not going to make a dent, but it's still, I feel like, reminds you in this digital world just how important and how there are really good people out there too. Like, I volunteered a lot throughout my life, and yeah, I need to get involved in it here. I've been looking at like Amnesty International, because that they host like a lot of American related events. I don't know if I necessarily want to get involved in something American related or just Czech related. But yeah, I do also want to volunteer here. But I did a lot of volunteering growing up, and I feel like just the interactions you have through those things, it just reminds you just, how many good people there are out there, and just connects you back with humanity, which I feel like we all need, especially us who do not have like, well, you do have an in-person like part-time job at the pub, but like we're not working full 9 to 5s like in an office and connecting with people all day. So I feel like we really need that
touch grass moment.
Touch grass moment. That's exactly
I mean, I
it.
honestly view my pub job as if it's volunteering. Like, I am giving pints to the people that need it most. No.
Yeah, but you're making money.
No, I'm making money.
It.
It's so, it does like emotional, even though right now I don't necessarily even need the money from my pub job. Like, my freelance business has picked up in the last month, but
nice.
I still will keep it because it's like a place that I like can do something in person and not just be like on my screen editing, doing whatever I do, because this shit just makes you feel really bad. Basically.
Yeah, that's why I love my like one in-person thing is my Czech lessons.
Yes.
That's why I just love and I'll never want to change that. So many people learn a language online, which is amazing if it works for them. But I know myself with I can stay in the house all day and not leave so easily. You know, like I have so much stuff that I can just do in my computer. And I love being at home too. Like during the week, there are days where I don't leave, but my Czech lessons force me to go out and just actually be like, you know, there's only a couple people in my class, but just be integrated in society, which is just so essential. But yeah, I definitely am going to take this as my sign to get my butt in action to volunteer, because that's been something on my list really since I moved here. But now that we've both been here for like a year and a half-ish I feel like we're both in a place where we're like, we can start doing this. So we'll be accountability buddies, as the ladies from Embrace the Squiggle said, but with volunteering rather than jobs.
So many good points from that. I need to be more accountable. Let's talk though about like, I think some of the common things that come up when you are someone that leaves America, including, I mean, gosh, there's so many things we could talk about, but including like guilt of leaving, like survivor's guilt. I think it's definitely a real thing. Like when I'm seeing, for example, right now, obviously what's going on like in Minnesota with what is essentially like an occupation on the streets, I do feel a little guilty. I'm like, wow, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just like walking around London, nothing, I'm not worried about anything like that. I don't know. Do you feel guilty sometimes? Or even just like I go to the doctor here, I'm like, and I don't get a massive bill, I'm like, wow, I don't really feel guilty. I don't know how I feel about it. It's like,
yeah, it's like, I guess just this level of acknowledging your privilege in a way that a lot of people don't have. Because, you know, I think even as white women, like all growing up, when you would see an issue that was impacting, say, the Black community, or of course now with immigration is primarily impacting people from the South below the border of the U.S., but honestly, that's impacting anyone who they suspect could be an immigrant. So basically anyone who's not white is being impacted. And I feel like you grow up with this level of privilege where you care so strongly about these issues, but you also know that you have this, you're grateful that you're not, I don't know what the words are, but I really guess it is just privilege. Like you feel like, is it right for me to care so much about this because I never have to face this myself? Like, you know, you almost want to make sure that you being involved is the right thing to do, because like you're not the one who's being personally impacted, and it's not your voice really that matters in the conversation because it's not you. But I think, I mean, I'm definitely of the standpoint that it's just all about listening to the voices of the people who are impacted, but that you still should always care, like, and that it's like not human to not care about these issues. Like I can't imagine seeing the things that ICE are doing and being like, oh, well, I don't know any immigrants, or I'm white, so this like, and everyone around me is white, so why should I care? Like that's just such a strange mindset to me. And I think it definitely also applies to living abroad. Like I'm a resident of another country. And so, for example, if I lived in a state that abortion was banned, I don't have to face those abortion bans because I'm in a country where I can access abortion. To be fair, though, it actually is harder in Czech Republic for foreign women to access abortion. Like certain clinics won't take you. You might have to search around for clinics. So there are even, restrictions here. It's not like, again, the European utopia where abortion is just super accessible.
They're giving it out in the vending
free.
machines. Yeah.
It's not free, and also compared to the income here, the average income, it's quite expensive. And for foreigners, it's not super accessible. But, then I have that guilt because I'm like, my friends, some of them live in states where abortion is banned. Like, can you imagine if they somehow got, attacked and they ended up getting pregnant and they weren't able to get an abortion? Like, they would probably be able to travel to another state, but that's not even the point. It's more just like the scenario of the people that you care about, and the people you don't care about and don't know, that you just still feel this level of like, wow, I don't live there, so I don't have to be subject to this. But all these people who are American, just like me, they do. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it is this guilt. I do think so. Like this survivor's guilt and this understanding your privilege and being like, this weird position of I'm so privileged and I'm so lucky, but then also wanting to still be an advocate for these things. It's like, how do you balance that and make sure that you're doing it the right way, I guess?
Yeah, I think one thing that has given me, actually, I don't know if it's on topic, given me good perspective in terms of like feeling guilty for living my life this way, is like having experienced grief and like really experiencing how short life is. And I think a lot of people at our age have not yet. Somehow they've like come out really squeaky clean, and like seeing someone that you love pass away at an age maybe before you expected them to, like with both of our dads, has just given me a perspective of life, kind of like, fuck it, like I only get one of these. I personally am not of the belief that I'm going to be making like, I'm not going to be president one day. So I believe my life's impact is on the people around me, like completely like next to me in my day-to-day life. That's who I impact. So why stay in America for that? Like, I don't really, that's not my aspiration. And so why would I feel guilty about leaving, I guess is what I'm saying, when like my life's purpose is to bring joy, and I don't really know what my life's purpose is, but I think one of them is like to bring joy to the people around me. I really believe that. I don't know what you think life's purpose is, but that's definitely one of them. And so like the guilt, I mean, sometimes I feel guilty, but mostly I'm like, fuck yeah, that I don't have to deal with that. Like I'm enjoying my privileges. I think people should like recognize it. And
I
just
feel like
say,
I need to. Yeah, I feel like I need to sit back and think more about that too, because I feel like whenever I am reading things online about the US, like I do feel guilty first before I feel like lucky, because I feel like, well, I live here because I have privileges that most people in the world don't have, and like I have money and opportunity, and don't have like a sick family member or something that I would need to like take care of at home. Like, there's so many reasons why people can't move countries. But yeah, I don't know. I think I am just that kind of person in a way where I feel like a lot of almost like overly over empathy, where I just feel like so bad for like so many groups of people, which is normal, I think. And I'm sure you obviously feel the same way, but I think I maybe let it affect me a little too much in my day-to-day, where like I let that feeling of powerlessness and feeling of guilt that I don't have to go through these things just consume me a little too much, rather than thinking about, how lucky I am, and also thinking about the things that I did to get here. Like it isn't just luck, obviously. Like,
so true. Yeah, let's talk about that.
It's not just luck that I ended up here.
Like, it really isn't just luck, because I know a ton of people who complain about America and ask about how I moved abroad. And these are people that could do it, that have like the financial means, the educational background, the family support, and they just continue to say, I mean, I'm not really talking about anyone specific. It's more just like a general sentiment I've felt / like occasionally met people like.
Yes.
And they don't do it, because I do think you need a certain like chutzpah, a certain personality type, a certain like determination to do it. And that's why, as we've discussed, I get along with most American women who have moved abroad, because it's like we're like 5% of the population. Like only 5% of the population would even like feign interest in moving abroad, honestly. And like that percent of people, I'm just so much more likely to get along with and respect. And if you're not part of that population, like that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Just don't pretend like you are.
You do need to be scrappier. But yeah, there are. So we had a whole episode about this
Yes.
where we talked about types of people who don't move abroad. And there are so many people that are like, oh, I'd love to do that one day. Or like, oh, you're so lucky that like you were able to move. And yeah, you just know instantly from those sorts of comments that that person doesn't actually truly in their soul like want to move abroad. And I think a lot of people like, which, yeah, most of the population doesn't want to. But a lot of people out there who do, I do think that some of them are just lacking this, chutzpah is a good word, but just this motivation to actually change their life. And I mean, this applies to so many things when so many people in life are like, oh, I want a new job. I want to do this. But people just get too accepting of their current situation, even if they're really unhappy with it. They just like don't have the motivation to change it. And the people who move abroad, they do have that, and they're actually went through with it and went through with all of the logistical, the financial, the, you know, telling their friends and family, say maybe people being disappointed in them. There's so many different factors to actually making that decision. And yeah, I do think I'm lucky in a lot of ways, but I also feel like I need to give myself more credit, because, you know, it'd also be so different if I didn't have this career path. My life in Prague would be very different. And like I worked so hard to be in this position. So I need to remember that, and I need to give myself credit. But also, you know, it's so important to also like know how privileged you are. But yeah, you know, also be able to be happy for the life that you have.
Yeah. And I guess we should talk about like, so let's say someone's listening and they're like, I've decided I want to leave the US. Like, this is my final straw. I can't deal with this country anymore. My health insurance just doubled. I'm pretty sure my mom's health insurance literally just doubled in price.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, there's all that stuff going on with the
it's
rate
fucking
hikes.
crazy. Like, I just paid for my like graduate visa application here, which is 2 years of health insurance, and it was expensive. It was £2,000, but like that's cheap for health insurance in the US. Imagine only paying like $2,500 for 2 years of like complete health coverage. Anyway, so if you're sick of the US and you're ready to leave, we have a full episode on like how to move abroad, or do we? What is our episode that covers this?
Yeah. It's one of the first ones, and I think it is just about all the logistical steps. I forget
like how
what it's
to move
called.
abroad. I'll link it in the show notes. But let's just do like a little shortened version. You've decided to move abroad. What do you think is the first step people should take that they're like, I need to get the fuck out of America?
I think the first step people should take is to clarify their why. Determining, are they wanting to move abroad in the heat of the moment, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. If one day you just sort of snap and you're like, I can't deal with this anymore, that's okay.
Yes.
But you just need to understand that it's going to take a lot of work, and do your research and really maybe journal, sit down with your thoughts, and like understand that this is a really big decision, and it's not one that you take lightly. Even if you've thought about it for a long time, you know, it's always good to look inside yourself and determine your why and what your reasons are. Even make like a pros and cons list, or I don't know, manifesting and writing out what your future life could look like. I think that that's really the very first step.
For sure. And also,
but what's next?
Recognizing you can always move back. Like, people, they'll be like, oh, I can never, you know, undo this decision. Like, yes, you can. You can always move back. So knowing that as well, like, you could just try it out for a year. Yeah, like the money will never maybe come back to you, but it'll be an amazing experience even if you do it and you're like, oh, this isn't for me, maybe I'll move back. But okay, after clarifying your why, I would say you have to become like a full-time private investigator in terms of researching how you're going to support yourself abroad. So this means like finding what types of visas you can get, where you can get a job. If you already work online, like remotely for a US company, asking them if you can do it anywhere in the world, or finding a remote job that you can do anywhere in the world. Like, basically figuring out how you can support yourself abroad, I think, is kind of the next thing, figuring out like a few
seeing
options.
the visas, if they have a digital nomad visa or a freelancing visa. And I think the biggest thing probably is to do with actually money. Like, are you going to be able to get a job in this country if you don't speak the local language? And sometimes it's hard to find those answers online. Like, I had a girl message me, and she's applying for a partner visa, and she had some questions about just like looking for jobs. And even though I don't work a Czech job, I know a lot of people who do, and they speak English, and I was able to still give her, some tips for finding one. And I feel like these aren't things that you can easily research online. Like, these are things that, are a lot easier if you do find someone who lives in that country, and like they have the inside scoop of like how easy is it actually to get a job speaking English. And again, in the last episode we talked about stupid DMs. These are smart DMs. These are good DMs.
Sure. And like that's
smart
literally
DMs.
what social media is for. So that is a great point. Like in your private investigator work of how can I move abroad, like follow people that are living. So in this private investigation, okay, you're gonna have to like pick a few countries that you're interested in. Obviously, you should only move to a country that like you're excited about. I wouldn't just move somewhere because you're like, oh, they have this type of visa and I can do X, Y, and Z. And if you aren't interested in the country at all, I can't imagine that working out long term.
Or just because you see other people have moved there and their lives look really good on Instagram.
Don't trust that.
Like, don't trust that. I feel like in the US, a lot of it is. Yeah, I mean, what like we said in the last episode, like more typically Western Europe, so like London or Paris, like those are the top two that do come to mind. Again, I don't know many people who moved abroad, but like you've said so many times, like London isn't for everyone. So just because you think it looks good with certain people on Instagram, like you really, really need to dive deep and try to determine through your research and through various different social media content creators in the city, like see what different lives they have, because people can live so differently, and you need to really
figure that out. But
that.
I also do believe, like, at least in terms of my path of living abroad, just getting abroad is kind of like the first big step. So for me, I moved to Spain to teach English. I never thought I was going to last in Spain that long, just because of I didn't want to be an English teacher long term, and there's not a ton of other pathways to making money in Spain. But I was like, I just want to go and try living abroad. So if you like aren't sure what country you want to move to, like just try one. You don't have to stay there. Like I've lived in 3 countries since I moved abroad. Only now in London am I like more committed to staying long term. But don't feel married to the first country you move to. Like you have a very specific experience in the fact that like you moved to Prague and you're like, I'm pretty solid on living here. I want to be here long term. But honestly, most of the people I know maybe not most, a lot of the people I know that have moved abroad have like done a few different moves where they like tried one city, didn't really like it, moved to another place, and then like found their more long-term spot.
That's so true. And that also goes to show you don't need to come with the perfect job, with the perfect thing in place. Like so many people come to Prague also teaching English and then eventually transition into something else once they're already here. Like that is one of the main ways Americans can come here. They are expanding the digital nomad visa, which is great.
Go to grad school. Like that's obviously
a
big
prior
option
to that
for moving abroad,
school or teaching English, like those out of the Americans or even a lot of foreigners that I've met who live here, like it really is those two, especially because many jobs aren't going to bring you to Prague, like from the US. Like it's not, it would be very, very, very specific. So that's such a good point where you don't need to feel like this is the be all end all, and the job you get in the city that you move to is just going to be your forever abroad home.
No, it's kind of like, I mean, you're kind of restarting your life in a lot of ways when you move abroad. So think of it as a bit of a clean slate. And that might mean that you need to move down in your career a bit. A lot of people that move abroad, you take a few steps down in your career. But in some ways, then you can kind of skyrocket because when you do get a job there, it's like, well, you have international experience. You're American. It can be a really good perspective to have. So even if it feels like you're downgrading your life, maybe you're taking a pay cut, don't think that that's going to be forever. It's just temporary. And then, in terms of the financial and logistical, obviously we talked about making money. I recommend before you move abroad, you need to save like a good chunk of change because just a lot of costs come up along the way. Honestly, I don't know how much you've definitely maybe shared before, but like how much did you save before you moved to Prague? Ish.
Oh, I don't think I saved a ton specifically for the move. Again, because I feel like my move was a little bit different, and the visa costs here
Yeah.
are so
Yeah.
low. I think it was like, oh, the translating was a couple $100s, but to actually apply for the visa was like $12. So I didn't have to save a ton. I mean, I feel like I had maybe like a few $1,000s saved to use for the apartment down payment and things for the apartment, but I didn't have a ton saved before moving for the move specifically.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it depends on the country, but when I moved to Spain, I had like maybe $8,000 saved, and I think that's good. But it depends. And then, just in terms of you've decided to move abroad, you have to say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah, tell people that you're moving abroad, sort of like drop that
emotional bomb on them.
Yeah, and I've talked about this a lot, but yeah, I mean, mine was a long time coming for sure. And if anything, everyone thought I was going to be moving to London for years before, because I spent so much time in England with Mark. So mine wasn't like a sudden thing, but it was still, my mom, especially when I first started bringing it up, at least, like it was hard for her to wrap her head around. And now she's like fully come to terms with it. And of course she's had to, because I live abroad. But yeah, I think, you can't really prepare yourself too much for that. You just kind of have to say it, and you have to be ready for different reactions that you might get, because some people are just going to be super happy for you. Like all my friends were super happy for me. Obviously they're upset that I'm not in the US anymore and that they don't get to see me as often. But I think when it comes to family, that's when it can be a little bit more tumultuous, and you can't predict what they're going to say.
But I mean, most people will be happy for you. And honestly, at this rate in the US, they'll be jealous. They'll be like, God, I need to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, honestly, when I go home, obviously it depends on the people I'm talking to. Plenty of people are like, why would you ever leave America? But then a lot of people are like, oh, I'm so jealous. I would say like 75% of people, when I tell them that I live in London, they're like, I'm so jealous that you got out of the country.
On the post that we had about Trump supporters not traveling as much, or Republicans in general, which is a fact. By the way, a lot of the comments were like, yeah, because we love our country and we don't want to leave. Like, so you don't even travel because you love America so much that you never want to leave for 1 minute. Like, such a stupid response. So stupid. And even now when I post like political related things, more on TikTok, because on Instagram, people who see my stories and stuff, they follow me and they know I live in Prague, but TikTok is a bit more of a wild card. I'll get comments like, if you don't like it, then leave. I'm like, bitch, I already have. Like, what more do you want from me? And also that goes back to our point of like, so should I stop caring? Like, I'm never going to stop caring. I still care about the political issues there, even though I don't live there. Like, and that should speak a lot to that person, which, wow, you can not even physically live in this country and you still care, because people who have a heart, they care about these things still. But something that I want to touch on before our final reflections, and this comes after moving abroad and moving to a new country, but this is definitely something I've faced in the Czech Republic, and everyone does, I think, everywhere when they move abroad, but realizing that every country has its problems.
Preach.
And just because you escape one country and one set of problems, you're going to a new set of problems in a different country. So
true.
Yeah, Czech Republic is...
you like pick your poison.
Yeah, there's a lot of racism and a lot of xenophobia here. Way less with the younger generation, but I think it was shocking to me just how open people are with it here. And almost... I think people here think they're almost post-race, where they think like, oh, I'm colorblind and I don't see color, which that, a lot of people of color and advocates say that that's not a good statement, because you should see color, because then if you don't, you can't understand the structural inequalities that people of certain races and ethnicities face. So I think, yeah, there's some comments I've seen of like, oh, there's no racism in the Czech Republic, like, and that's coming from a white Czech person. Like, why do you think you have a right to say there's no racism? Like, what? That's not up to you. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? You saying there's no racism is racist, because why do you think you have the authority over if people are like, it is crazy. But yeah, there's something I've had to like get used to, of hearing and seeing more, is just like this outward like racism where people don't even think that they're being racist. Well, in the US, obviously Trump has encouraged a lot of people to be really outwardly racist, but it's it's almost different in a way where they know they're being racist and they're proud of it, while a lot of Czech people, they don't even realize they're being racist.
Do you think it's because it's
like,
just such a, like, it's not a very diverse country? Yeah.
That's a big part of it for sure. Yeah. So like they don't also know or realize like what things are that they shouldn't say as much. I mean, I think a lot of it is common sense. But another strange thing here is that a lot of white girls have like black hairstyles.
Right.
They have box braids. And in the US, you would rarely ever see that because it's considered cultural appropriation. And it also, those hairstyles are not good for white hair. Like your hair is too thin, it's too fragile. Like those hairstyles also have a history in slavery where they would have patterns to escape routes or they would hide seeds in their hairstyle so that when they were free, they could start their own plot of land. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm being extra woke here, but I was shocked when I saw so many white girls with box braids. And I'm like, this is so weird, but there aren't that many people of color here, or black people specifically, to I feel like tell them, or maybe to speak out against if they think that it's cultural appropriation. Again, I'm not the one to say, but in the US it definitely is considered that way. But yeah, I was shocked to see that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, any country you go to, and I think that just goes back to like the researching part we were talking about. You kind of need to figure out like which things do you want to prioritize. Do you want to prioritize moving to a diverse country or a diverse city? Plenty of countries might not be like the UK. I wouldn't say it's widely super diverse when you go to rural bits, maybe more than other countries in Europe. But if you're in a city like London or Manchester, like very diverse. Same with Spain. The cities are somewhat diverse, but if you're in rural Spain, it's not diverse at all. And then you have to decide in terms of the policies, like right now in the UK, massive anti-immigration tide of not only sentiment, but actual policy. It's become harder to be an immigrant. So if that's a priority to you, that you want a place that is welcoming of immigrants, I don't think I'd recommend anywhere in Europe. Like I'd say head over to Asia or, I mean, I don't even know, South America, somewhere different. If you want to prioritize a place with a lot of job opportunities, things like that, you kind of just have to decide, because there is no perfect country. And there's also, especially, there's no perfect country when you're a foreigner. Like you're always going to be an outsider. So you have to pick the place where you want to be the outsider. It's really hard to be in a place that isn't like socially welcoming, because the UK, even though right now there's definitely a rise of anti-immigrant policies, I wouldn't say interpersonally I've seen like a rise of it, at least amongst young people. I think people here are really welcoming, and a lot of people really recognize how much immigrants add to the country. So like looking into that, reaching out to social media, like to creators that you see in these cities and asking how it is, and following them first, obviously. Like, let's be real, you got to follow them first.
Yeah. It's so true that, you always follow them. And you do become part of like a marginalized group, even if you never felt like you were one before. Women are one. But even a lot of women obviously don't feel like they are in one.
Being
but
a
becoming
white woman in Oregon, like, I don't know if I necessarily felt like a minority.
Yeah, like on a day-to-day level, like, just obviously like structurally, like, with equality, but on a day-to-day level, like but now you are always going to be an other because you are an immigrant. And I also think that it's true that immigrants are also sort of tiered in people's minds. I get messages from Czech people, not a ton, but I got one a couple weeks ago that was something like, oh, you're a good immigrant, we don't want the Arabs here, like. And I'm like, how dare you think you can message me? Want to say this at all, but to message me and think that I somehow want this shit in my inbox? Yeah, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Also, if they have followed me for one day, they'll see that I'm very liberal. And obviously, I don't agree with that. But there is a tier. People see certain immigrants, as like white immigrants, as good. And immigrants of color as bad. And like I mean, you even see it with the policies in the U.S. with the administration. They'll say things like, oh, we want more immigrants from Scandinavia, but they want
Guess what?
less
Scandinavians don't want to move to the U.S.
Doesn't want to come there. Yeah. Like, you wish, but no, they're not coming
They're not leaving their nice free health care and their good free education for whatever shit show is going on there.
Exactly, like in your dreams. But yeah, I think my final reflection is that there's just no right answer. I think if you have a strong inclination and you've really sat and thought about it and want to move abroad, that you should follow that, whether it's because of political reasons or not, whether it's because you don't feel safe in America anymore, or you just see a different life for yourself and you want to raise a family somewhere else. I think that you should follow that. And like Lily said, just because you move doesn't mean you can't move back.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be the be all end all. You're not abandoning America forever. You also can go back as much as you want to visit your friends and family. So
For sure.
I think it's something that I'm glad to see more people considering it. And I guess more people realizing that the illusion that they've believed their whole life that America is the best country in the world is sort of breaking for more people now. And, you know, like we said, it's hard because there needs to be people there to keep fighting. And there always will be, though. Like, the people who move abroad is always going to be a small percentage of the population.
I know we forget.
So I think it's a good thing to embrace it.
We forget because we're people that have moved abroad. But I really think like only 5% of people would ever do it. It's really such a... I guess I just have started to think like, yeah, like half of people. I mean, there was that stat that came out recently that said like 40% of American women would move abroad. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that, but that's also like a
40%.
That's not like a genuine.
Yeah, that's like they
like
ticked a box saying that they would leave the U.S. I think actually it'd be much closer to like
No.
10%.
For sure. Like, I think so many people, because of the political knee-jerk reaction, if you ask them on the street, would you consider moving out of the U.S.? So many people would say
like
yes.
Everyone
not even just
is a liberal
like
would
liberals.
say, yeah,
like,
fuck yeah, I'd move to Paris, of course. But
a lot of them, but even I think a lot of like Republicans
they would say
would
sure.
even say it in this day and age. Like a lot of Republicans also don't support Trump, so I think a lot of people would say that they would consider it. But when it comes down to
buying the ticket,
genuinely, no, it'd be so much lower. Yeah, so that stat was like, that's such an inflated...
I know everyone
like,
was sharing it. Like all the move abroad kind of content creators were sharing it. And I was just like...
People were sending it to me.
Yeah. And I just like thought about it for a bit. I'm like, 40%? That's just not true. Like I've met a lot of people in my life.
Imagine 40%.
I mean,
40% of women
rate.
left.
Like honestly, that'd be amazing. It would really teach men a lesson. Like wake the fuck up and... be better at courting and dating women. But yeah, final reflection for me, I agree, there's no right answer, but I really do believe that if you have any inclination at all to do it, you should do it at least once. Even if you plan on just... A lot of people right now have moved abroad and they're like, I'm moving abroad during the Trump administration and then I'll move back. Like, I totally support that. Do I think the Trump administration is going to end in 2028? No, I don't really.
Probably not.
But if that is what
we
gets
have
you
a JD
abroad,
Vance and Erica Kirk ticket coming up.
Yeah, if that's what gets you abroad though, like hell yeah, go with it. And that can be your plan and just see where it goes. Like, yeah, or
studying or doing a year degree. Have you seen that our study abroad video hot takes is going viral? Don't look at it. There's horrible comments.
Is it my one saying that study abroad doesn't count as living abroad?
Yeah,
I knew that.
Because people
would.
are like, I did my bachelor's abroad. We're
I'm
not talking about that.
You. I literally say in the clip 2.5 months.
Short-term, very short-term study abroad program like you do in the U.S. where people go for a semester. Like, obviously, but yeah, just don't even look at the comments because people are they're saying, fight me. I studied. I did my undergrad abroad and I lived abroad. Fight me. Like, we're not trying to fight you. We're not even talking about you, babe. But yeah, I think, obviously also looking into getting a year degree because in Europe, a grad degree is also 1 year.
Definitely.
Instead of 2.
People have...
It's a good, pathway to try it out.
On my video about, is it time to leave the USA? I think a ton of the people are 17-year-olds because that's who's on TikTok these days being like, but I need a degree. I'm like, you're in the perfect situation. Go get your degree in Europe. It's literally almost free. And then there's so many more visa options for you to stay. So if anyone that's 17 is listening, I should censor myself more. But also, get your degree in Europe. There are English-speaking universities. Yes.
Well, I wish we could see the ages of our listeners because I don't think you actually have that audience stat.
I would assume
we have
they must
gender,
be 22 to 28.
30?
Yeah, to 30.
No, I feel like maybe
35.
Oh, wait, we do have age. Okay, wait, quickly. Okay, so the highest percentage of our listeners are 28 to 34.
Oh, wow, so chic.
Yeah, and the second is 23 to 27.
Okay.
And then 0 to 17 is 0.4%.
Darn it. We're not getting them young enough. Shoot. I guess my content doesn't appeal to the, what are they called? Gen Alpha?
Gen Alpha, yeah.
Well, that's okay. Okay, should we do our segment? Okay,
Yes,
missing
let's do it.
on the menu, which is our segment where we discuss a food that we are missing from back home. I'm not going to lie, I haven't thought of one, so I'm going to let you go first while I ruminate on my option.
I will go first because I've had something on my mind for weeks. And even though I didn't ever like technically live in England, I did spend a lot of time there when my boyfriend is from there. So before we moved to Prague. And I've been to London probably over like 40 times. But anywhere in England, this is good. But I miss fish and chips with like the mashed peas so much with vinegar. Like, I want to go to London so badly again. Oh, yeah. I might come with Mark in March.
Oh my
so
God,
we'll have to coordinate a meetup. But I'm getting fish and chips and we're meeting for the first time. But yeah, he has to go for work every couple months.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'll just come next time. I usually just stay here, but yeah, I feel like I'll have plenty of things to do in London.
For sure.
But yes, good fish and chips with the mashed peas. So good. I want that so badly.
I'm trying to think of a good place in London because I feel like the fish and chips in London actually aren't like the best. Do you have a spot?
Yeah, I feel like the best I've had, not in particular, but the best I've had probably is just the local village pub in Mark's Village.
That's
where
probably
the best ones are.
You got to get out of London. But okay, that's a good one. I do love fish and chips. It's one of my like favorite English foods. Okay, mine, I'm going to go with, now I know. Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia. Cherry Garcia is my favorite ice cream on planet Earth. It's like the Ben & Jerry's with chunks of cherry and big chunks of dark chocolate. They don't have it here. There's Ben & Jerry's in the UK.
Yeah,
and they pretty much only have like, I think maybe 5 variations. Cookie dough, mint chip, brownie. I mean, they're all fine. But I remember when I
feel like it's also not the same. Like the ingredients are probably slightly different based on the...
I mean, the cookie dough
I've had it,
about
but...
the same. They're about the same. But honestly, they don't stock the types that I want. I want Cherry Garcia and Chunky Monkey. Those are my favorites. And they don't have them here. When I first got here, I was looking I would pop into every shop looking for Ben & Jerry's. And I think I went online and Googled what's available here and confirmed.
You have to import it.
I would literally have to import it. So this is my plea to Ben & Jerry's to please stock Cherry Garcia.
Well, Jerry left.
Yeah, so it's never going to happen. It's just like Nestle
it's never going to happen.
Nestle's not going to listen to me. Like,
that's sad.
I know. So yeah, I'm definitely missing that. I love Cherry Garcia, and the ice cream here just doesn't hit as much. The selection is just not there. Like the ice cream section is literally, there's 4 flavors, and that's just not going to do it for me. I'm a big ice cream gal, and
it's the same here. Yeah, they also do have Ben & Jerry's, but it's very
not the actually
between.
Creative flavors that like make Ben & Jerry's Ben & Jerry's. It's just it's the most boring of Ben & Jerry's flavors, which I guess I understand.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah.
All right, well, I want some ice cream now. Some fish and chips and ice cream for dessert. Ben & Jerry's. That sounds so good. Well, thank you all for listening to this episode about leaving the U.S. If there are any specific topics we discussed here that you want us to dive in more deeply in a future episode, please let us know and leave us a comment. And also don't forget to please leave us a rating and review because it makes a huge difference and helps more Packers Up and Piecers Out find us.
See you next week.
That's all for this episode of Packing Up and Piecing Out.
If you liked it, hit subscribe, follow us at Pack Up, Peace Out, and leave us a review. It helps more Packers Up and Piecers Out find us.
And for more of our unfiltered takes on life abroad, follow me at Taylor Takes Prague.
And me at A Rich Woman's World. We'll see you at the airport.